Everyone, and welcome to a special edition to In the Ring with Christine. I have my beautiful guests from Perfecting Athletes. I have Paulina Indara and Dr. Michelle. How are y'all doing this evening?
Amazing. How are you?
I'm doing
Hi.
well. Michelle, you good?
All,
Everybody
all
good?
good. Good. Good to be here. Good to
Yay.
see you.
Absolutely. Miss y'all. It's very good to see y'all
Miss
too.
you. Michelle has
Um,
escaped this 95-degree weather and is in very comfortable Denver.
oh my gosh. Of course, yeah, Denver, I bet is like so cool right now. It feels great. That's
Mm-hmm.
fabulous. That's fabulous. You know, so for people that don't know exactly what perfecting athletes is, can y'all give a description, a short description of how y'all would describe yourselves to other people?
Sure.
Michelle, okay.
Sure. We are a health and wellness company, and we work with professional athletes to manage their nutrition, their body fat, their body percentage, their weight cutting, enhance their performance, and just keep them overall really healthy during fight camps and between fight camps and during fight week, so that they can continue to do better and better and better with each fight. And we have quite a few world champions that get to stay that way and stay nice and healthy while they're doing it.
Absolutely. Paulina, would you add to that?
Um, I think that she covered everything.
You
Also,
covered it?
and obviously, we also do we have physical therapists on staff, so we kind of take an entire wellness approach to everybody. It's not just, looking at the whole in the human. You want to look at the whole human.
Yes. Oh, I like that. That's good. That's good.
I
So
stole that from somebody over the weekend.
I
I
was
can't
like,
take credit for
wow,
that.
that's
I did
good.
steal
I
that from
like that.
somebody.
I like that. So we won't get into the specifics, but brain health has been an issue, and I think a lot of people don't even know what that means. Brain health. You both work with boxers, with UFC fighters, and everything in between, and I think whenever they think of y'all, it's like, oh, nutrition and this and that, but it goes beyond that. It's the brain health. Paulina, if when someone asks you, what do you mean by brain health, what would you say?
So it's multifaceted, but if you have proper nutrition and you are, when it comes to combat sports, specifically combat sports and weight-driven sports, if you are having the proper nutrition, the proper water intake, and cutting weight correctly, your brain continues to function the way it is. If you're doing things that are less optimal, so to speak, your brain pays the price for it. And the thing is that it's not just brain health now, and obviously that controls your reflexes, how you perform in the ring. It's 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, it's being able to say, we did everything that we could now to make sure that somebody is healthy then. And Dr.
Yes.
Michelle can get into
Well,
the
yeah, and I was going to
scientific parts of
say,
it.
Dr. Michelle, like how important, how can we stress, like Knockouts with Micah just said, too many athletes are passing away from something related to their brain. How do we get this across? How do we break it down so the average person like myself can understand the importance and the medical side of it?
So the simplest analogy that I have for understanding the brain, so actually let me back up. The brain obviously is important. It is what you need so that you can see a punch coming. It's your timing, it's your accuracy, it's your endurance, it's your ability to recover, to shake something off, and then to be able to determine what's next. That brain has to be firing at 100% for you to do your job. And for the athletes during a training camp, it often is, they feel great, they perform great, they're doing great. And then they get into a fight week and they cut weight to weigh in, and then they rehydrate to get back in fight. And unfortunately, for some people in that process of dehydrating and rehydrating, or even sometimes during camp, they're not thinking about how the fact that their brain is surrounded by water and fat. And so if they go into a fight and there isn't that water and fat surrounding it, you're more likely to get concussed. You're more likely to have memory issues or thought process issues or slowed reflexes. So when I'm talking to athletes, I say, have you ever seen a snow globe? You know how a snow globe, it's all glass, and then it's filled with water, and then there's something in the center. And if that water is in there, you can shake the snow globe and everything moves around, but it's still intact. If we were to drain the water out of a snow globe and then shake it around, that center part is going to hit the glass and break.
Right.
So your brain is the center of a snow globe. It is surrounded by water and fat, and your skull is what that glass is. If you don't take care of making sure that you're properly hydrated and properly fed so that everything can fire correctly, if you start depleting the water there, then you take a hit and your brain rattles around and it can hit the side of your skull and you can have a concussion. Right? Whereas if you have all of that water there, if you have all of those healthy fats there, everything is firing, you take a hit, you go, it didn't feel great, but you're still sharp, you're still recovering, you're still going forward. So our goal is always, when we're looking at their overall health, to make sure that their brain functions. People talk about heart and kidneys all the time, but your brain, your heart, and your kidneys, all of these major organs function optimally in the fight and then in recovery, so that you have a long, happy, healthy life that you can enjoy afterwards.
Yes. Wow. And this question is for either one of y'all or both of y'all. So how would someone eat the right things or hydrate the right way? Are there certain formulas that they have to go through to make sure that their brain is protected? Certain foods, certain things that you put together? How do we do that to protect the brain?
Well, the first one is to think of foods in terms of water content. If your muscles are 90% water and your brain is surrounded by water, you obviously need water to function. You need water to make the muscles fire and to make the brain fire. So we think about foods that are high in water content, vegetables, fruits, things that are high in fats, nuts and seeds and oils. And we try to focus a good amount of the diet on those things so that we're always protecting that. And then you're getting the vitamins and minerals so that it gets absorbed also. If you're eating a diet that's really high in dry foods, crackers and cereals and things like that, there might be nutrition in it, but it doesn't have that water. So it's not protecting it in the same way. So everything has to be a nice balance. But when we're looking at, what's the best foods to eat and drink and get absorption into the muscles and into the brain, we think about high water content foods that have a lot of electrolytes, to bring that water in and out.
Okay. Jamel said, gotta stay hydrated. That's why when I was in camp, Paulina and Denise had me drinking more than a gallon faithfully.
Hey, Jamel.
Hi, Jamel.
Paulina, talk about that, because, the old school notion is start depleting your water. It's like I've seen it where it's like 3 days ahead of a fight. And I'm just like, what are you doing? But they don't listen. They don't always, coaches these days don't always listen. The old school mentality.
They don't.
So he was drinking over a gallon. Talk to me about that.
So because Jamel opened the door for us, so I'll talk about it. When we actually first started with him, he did not have the best habits. And he was fighting at 35. And so the idea was to go down to 30. And as you know, he became king there for a while. And he was there for almost 3 years or 2.5 years, something like that. So we changed everything. Michelle talked about eating the right foods and making sure there was enough fat. We started switching around. It wasn't a piece of chicken breast. It became a chicken thigh. It became a lot of fish, a lot of beef, a lot of lamb, a lot of water. And even during fight week, when I know that, the popular thing is an apple, a piece of chicken, and a 16.9 bottle of water, it became a gallon to a gallon and a half, lots of veggie juices, lots of good fats. And we started making the weight easier at 30 than he was at 35. And he was having better performances at 30 than 35 because we were able to feed his brain, which literally controls everything else, right? Your body is a brilliant machine. It is going to do everything it can to stay alive and to feed the organs and the systems in your body that are most crucial, right? So if you start cutting out water in your food, your body thinks that it's in trouble, that it's starving, that it's going to die of thirst, and it's not going to give you anything, let alone perform as in a combat situation where reflexes are everything. Being able to, Dr. Michelle talked about being able to see a punch coming. Your reflexes control your ability to win a fight. It doesn't, somebody can have better technique, but if their reflexes are super slow and you're able to hit them every time, it doesn't really matter. The person that with better reflexes and a better overall health is likely going to win. Now, that doesn't mean that, somebody that is extraordinary, somebody on that pound for pound list, sometimes they can get away with it, but eventually it catches up.
But for how long?
Always catches up. It always catches up. So the better we can feed the body and the brain now, the longer the career, the less injury, the longer, they're able to do the things that they love at a very high level. And understand people like Jamel were at that world-class, world championship level for a very long time, and not just world champion, but he also had a career in the Olympics. And he was also a Marine. So there were a lot of issues that we had to deal with to make sure that his brain was healthy. And it wasn't just during fight camp, it was year round for him.
Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Dr. Michelle, so somebody made a comment, I hate water. And another said, water makes you weak, Coach Boone. So, so is there anything that substitutes water? Is there anything you can eat or drink that is going to be as effective as actual water?
High water content foods. So vegetables that have a lot of water and minerals in them can be helpful. Fruits have waters and minerals in them that are also helpful, but the amount of water that you need. So as an athlete, as they are training and sweating throughout the day, they are losing, their sweat is salt water. Salt is one of those 4 electrolytes that brings water in and out of the muscles and in and out of the brain. As it gets depleted, if you're not replacing it, then you're going to become weaker and weaker and have slower reflexes. It is extraordinarily difficult to intake the amount of fluids that you need in a day if you are not drinking water or some sort of electrolyte water in addition to eating food.
Right.
And if your goal is performance, then you need to learn to understand that sometimes we do things that we don't want to do, but we learn to like them because they enhance our performance.
Right. So point blank, I mean, the bottom line is, yes, eat these things that are high in water content, but you have to drink that water. You have to pick up a bottle of water for sure.
Yeah. And you know what? There's a million different types of water. If you don't think you like water, go try a different brand. It could be purified water. It could be tap water. It could be spring water. Find something that you like. They actually all taste a little bit different. I think spring water gives you the most bang for the buck because it's naturally high in electrolytes that your body can use to absorb.
That was going to be the question I had. Okay.
Well, it's my preference. However, the best is the one that you are willing to drink. Not everybody likes the mineral taste of spring water. The best water is the water that you actually like and are willing to drink. I have seen plenty of people where you can hand them a 16-ounce bottle of one brand and a 16-ounce bottle of the other brand. The one brand, maybe they sip on it here and there throughout the day. The other one, they chug and ask for another. They have a preference for which one satiates them better. So my opinion is always find the one that you like.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, Paulina, I wanted to ask you, have you dealt with coaches, trainers that have said, y'all are giving your athletes, my athletes, y'all's athletes too much water? Like, what are we doing? Like, have you ever dealt with anybody like that?
Unfortunately, yes. And sometimes we are able to change their minds and sometimes we can't. Dr. Michelle is extraordinary at being able to get somebody to change their mind because she can really give, the body chemistry explanations and the scientific explanations as to why it's so crucial. But we get a lot of pushback with no, I don't want them to drink anything for 48 hours. That's when, if that is set in stone and the coach can say whatever they want. I'm not going to stop the coach from saying it. They can say it. if the athlete opts to listen to that coach specifically, then that ends up being a deal breaker for us, because we're not
Okay.
going to intentionally endanger someone's life. And when they say, you know, I want them to stop eating and drinking 72 hours before, how do we, unless the athlete is like, listen, I'm going to do, that's cool that you're saying that, but I'm opting to listen to what they have to say, then it becomes a very difficult situation. We can't
Sure.
knowingly support that. Right.
Right.
And there have been times where we've had to walk away because it puts the athlete in a very dangerous position. And we work as a team too hard to create environments that an athlete is not just successful, but healthy and safe, to intentionally go into an environment that is making it unsafe, so to speak. I don't know how else to politely phrase that, but there have been a couple of times where coaches have been like, well, I don't want them to drink anything, and literally in the gym the athlete shows up with their gallon and the coach takes the gallon away from them. I'm just like, listen, I'm not telling you how to coach, I'm not telling you how to box, I'm
but
just
you have to
trying to keep you healthy. And if you don't want to listen to me, totally cool, no harm, no foul.
Right.
This just is not the relationship that we can continue with.
Well, it literally comes down to, you all are literally, and I'll say it if y'all won't, saving lives, you know, because as we've seen, you know, there are people that are losing their lives because they are not properly taken care of.
Look at the comment that Jamel just said.
I was just about to read that. After the Roach fight, I was in a bad place from all the punches behind the head. Perfecting athletes literally spent a year with me outside the ring, getting me healthy to keep my career going. Absolutely. I mean,
that is not untrue. And the way that we cut water weight with Jamel, that specific fight week, and the way that we rehydrated him, and we actually listened to what he had been saying all camp. We rehydrated him just a little differently. And he will be the first to tell you that the reason that he stayed standing in that round, and that he was okay with those rabbit punches, was because of what we did. And then we did spend a year, I'm going to say a solid year, trying to overcome the damage that was done from that, you know, with supplements and diet and sleep and, you know, year-round, you know, preventative measures. It was a lot.
I was there. I was definitely on the edge of my seat. That was rough, and people don't realize when they see a fight like that, if people remember that fight, that he had obtained a lot of damage. And like y'all said, if y'all had not been there to help him and to give him the proper nutrition and hydration, it could have ended very badly. It could have. He said, to this day, thanks to them, I felt like I dodged a serious bullet. Even to this day, I have to stay on my health, and I'm grateful for them.
Yeah. And it's not just what we do during.
I was going to say, here's the thing. We have to think about the person as a whole person, not just the fight in front of them. It's not just about getting through to weigh-ins. You have to fight after your weigh-in. And after your fight, you have to recover and get ready for the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And you keep doing this until you come to a point where you decide that you want to retire and do something else with your life. At which point you need your brain to enjoy your life and enjoy your family and enjoy all of the earnings that you have worked so hard to get. So it really is
there's life
just looking at the whole picture. And
yes.
One of the things would never, and your coaches would never change everything in their coaching technique in the few days before the fight. So why do we want to jeopardize your health by changing everything in your diet and your sleep and your lifestyle a few days before the most important part of that whole fight camp?
Right.
So we take that fight week very, very seriously and get them as healthy as possible into that fight. So they put on a show, put on a great performance, and walk away feeling healthy afterwards.
Jamel, here's another gem. The night I met Frampton in the ring face to face in Vegas, I spent the entire weekend with perfecting athletes because I wasn't feeling too well due to injuries. That's very true. So it's not like Dr. Michelle said, it's not just fight week. In Jamel's case, we spent a lot of time with him year round, kind of checking in on him, making small adjustments where we can. So that way, when we go into camp and we go into fight week, we have the most amount of information. And if you look from the Roach fight to the Frampton fight,
Yes.
the improvements that we were able to make because we spent so much time with him and because we were so focused on that brain recovery and that brain health, he was a monster in there.
Absolutely, he was. Absolutely.
Right? He was, and we had to go to Dubai, and there were a lot of other things that kind of happened leading up to that fight, but he is an example of somebody that takes his health seriously year round.
Right. No, yeah, he said that. He's still doing that to this day. And the thing that I always say, and I've been blessed enough to be with y'all during some fight weeks and eat the leftovers, and they're always delicious. But the thing that amazes me is that all of your champs are eating before weigh-in. It's like they're almost eating on the way to the scale. They're almost hydrating up until the moment when you see these other fight camps, and they've been starved for 2 days, and so I applaud y'all for that. And Dr. Michelle, I'm sure you can talk about like the combinations of food or medically proven to like how do they do that? How do they get on the scale after they've just eaten and they're at perfect weight? How does that happen?
There's a lot of science behind that as far as understanding digestion and absorption and sleep and hormones. My background obviously is in hormone and health performance. So I look at everything kind of through that lens, and then choosing the right foods and the right hydration to make sure that those are working optimally so they have the least amount of stress on them physically and mentally to get to the weight that they need to. And that it makes it easy. I mean, stressing about it and putting your body through really tough things is counterproductive. If we can keep them happy, keep them fed, keep them hydrated, the weight will come off just like it does during any training camp day where, you're working out, you're breaking a sweat, you're sipping some water and you feel good. We're just doing that during fight week. We try to keep everything very, very similar to what they've been going through. Well, and I think that's one of the biggest differences because a lot of people treat fight week like it's a whole different entity than the camp. Everything changes right before the fight.
Well, no, and I was going to say, it's like when people hear like weight cut or the D word diet, they're like, they think they're going to, drink water, eat a piece of cardboard. But the food is delicious too. I mean, Paulina is in there cooking and I'm there. I'm just like, whoa, they are eating gourmet meals. This is not just, a little rice cake and some water. These meals are delicious. And I know that the athletes will have, they've said to me, and I know they've said to others too, like, oh my gosh, I miss the pancakes. I want this, I want that. There's certain things that they want, even when they're not during fight week. So kudos, because y'all are making it delicious, nutritious, and it's doing what it needs to do. It's just unbelievable. It really is.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Jamel says fight week is definitely essential. Every day of the week leading up to the fight is very important. Yes. Oh, yeah. Neil says, I get pancakes, damn it.
Pancakes. The pancakes and the ceviche.
Yeah. Oh, the ceviche. Oh, yes, all of it. But I wanted to know y'all's opinion. So there's never, I guess, well, I don't know, maybe there is. So when we hear about these things that happen, there's so many facets to it. We tend to blame the corner, or we tend to blame the ref for not, stopping a fight, or, whoever. But essentially, in y'all's opinion, what does it come down to when there's a tragedy and somebody wants somebody to blame? Is there somebody to blame, or is it everybody involved?
I think that's an incredibly complicated question because every incident is individualized and different, and pointing the finger at one person is, I think it's inappropriate. I mean, you have to take every instance and really dissect it and see what went wrong, where it went wrong, and what can be changed. And the goal of perfecting athletes is not only to prevent these things from happening with the athletes that we work with, but to hopefully help educate and inform others so that changes can be made going forward. There is no job in the world that is worth risking your life for. It's not. And it's not necessary. There are safe ways, easy ways, even enjoyable ways when you've got Paulina cooking for you, to be able to survive and thrive in this profession. It's just taking the time to look around and learn and adapt and make changes. I mean, every day we are learning something new. Every day we are adapting. Our job isn't the perfect athlete. Our job is perfecting. We are always adapting and learning. We are passionate about what we do and passionate about perfecting it for each person and each individual, each and every fight. So I think that's the conversation, is what can we do better? What can we learn from the mistakes that have happened without pointing a finger, and make sure that we change the focus so that it doesn't happen again.
Okay. And no two fighters need the same thing, right? No two athletes need the same thing. And not only is it no two athletes, but no athlete from one camp to the next is exactly the same. There's always something that changes, because as Dr. Michelle said, we always try to be better, right? So we take the information that we have from camp number 1 to camp to number 19 to 23. There are some people that we've now done 30 camps with. We take all of that information, and it's ever evolving because their needs are always evolving. It's never going to be the same. It's never going to be the same thing. It's going to be a different time of year. They're going to come in heavier, lighter. They're always going to be older, right? Always. Every single camp that an athlete does, they're always older. They always have. They always have more damage just by training the 10 weeks or the 8 weeks or the 6 weeks or the whatever it is. And even if they go into a fight and they get that one punch knockout, first punch that they throw, nobody else throws anything, it's over in three seconds. Right. However, all the training that they did leading up to it created damage. Sure. So we have to, everything is always restorative and reparative, and we learn every time, this really worked this time. Next time, maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it does. Right. Maybe we keep it. Maybe we change it. But you have to listen to your athlete. More than anything, you have to listen to the athlete that you're working with. And I'm sure that as a coach, you experience that as well. Yes, if they are telling you, listen, I'm throwing this jab this way and it's not natural, I don't feel comfortable. But however, if I just turn my hand or my shoulder just a little bit more and the impact is greater, it doesn't matter that 300 people throw the jab the other way. This athlete on this day can throw this jab in this manner, and it's better. It's no different. It's no different for us as a team. We look at everything that they are saying. We take all of their feedback. We want feedback. It is easier for us to come up with a plan when they are telling us how they feel than an athlete that says, I'll do whatever you say, just tell me what it is to do. And then you ask them, well, how do you feel? It doesn't matter how I feel, just tell me what to do. It absolutely does matter. That feedback is huge. So we take all of that information, camp after camp, and we make adjustments.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with you 100%. I think that's fabulous. And that's why y'all are so successful and people love y'all, and y'all treat all of your boxers and UFC fighters as chill. I've seen it. They're your children. And
they are.
It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Knockouts with Nika had a question. She says, what's the worst thing that y'all have seen a fighter do to cut weight? Obviously, before you put your hands on them, before y'all started working with them.
Dr. Michelle, go ahead and answer that one. I know you have a laundry list.
The worst. I could laundry list a million different things. Okay. Number one.
Dr. Michelle.
drinking distilled water. Number 2, putting isopropyl alcohol in their bath.
People didn't know that. Yeah, the distilled
Number
water.
3, overheating. They layer up in a million layers of clothing and then sit in a sauna and do jumping jacks and overheat their body. Number 4, not eating. Number 5, not drinking. Number 6, not sleeping.
Wow.
So it goes on and on and
I could
on.
literally just go on, and I've got a book full of things that,
But those are fabulous.
Not
I
good.
mean, those are things that are like, yeah, every day you have to sleep, you have to drink this water, you have to eat this, you have to this, yes, those are so essential. People don't think about that. They think sometimes it's more complex, and it's simple things that you have to do.
Yeah, it's simple things to keep your body alive, because as
Yes.
Paulina had said, we say this all the time. Your body is brilliant. It will do everything it needs to do to stay alive. And if you're trying to override that rather than listen to it and pay attention to it, that's where you're going to get in trouble. So don't do anything that would jeopardize your health. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, you have to make weight. You have a contract that says you have to be this weight on this day. But at the end of the day, your goal is to fight. It is to get into the ring with somebody, and you are going to punch each other's heads.
Right.
You are
You're
going to
getting
try
into
to
a
knock
fist
each
fight.
other's out.
Right.
It's like being in a car accident every single day. Like, it's a lot of damage. So at the end of the day, you want to be in the healthiest imaginable place before stepping in there, so that you can do your best job and walk out with just a scratch, with the least amount of damage.
Remy, you have to go back and watch from the beginning, because starving is a big no. It's a big no. But something that you said, and I knew this because in my athletes in Colorado and my athletes here, they'll say they want to get the distilled water. So tell us why distilled water is not the way to go.
So distilled water means that you have taken water and you have steam evaporated all of the minerals out of it. So it is a clean water with no electrolytes, no minerals. Most water naturally, if you get spring water, comes down the mountain. It picks up potassium and sodium and calcium and all of these things that your body needs, because your body needs electrolytes to bring water into the muscle and out of the muscle, and into the brain and out of the brain. If you are drinking distilled water, all it's doing is pulling everything out of the muscles and out of and the brain and your heart. Remember, your heart's the most important muscle in your entire body. It is a muscle. Your intestines are lined with muscle. So if it's pulling all of those electrolytes out, all of that muscle is now getting depleted. You're going to have cramps. You're going to have pain. You're going to have spasms. It is very unhealthy. And if you don't have the correct way to rehydrate to get those electrolytes and water back in, you're going to have a really poor performance and you're going to feel really crummy. So why would you want to put yourself through that when there's easier, simpler, healthier ways to do it?
Yeah, that's true.
Just to somebody texted me while we're on this, and they're like, what about brands that say that they are distilled but have electrolytes added back into it, like Smart Water and Essentia? Dr. Michelle, what do you think about those?
Okay, so those are essentially purified waters. They are vapor distilled, and then they have other electrolytes put back in them. I think that is okay. Those are fine. You just don't want to go and buy straight distilled water with no minerals in it.
That's a great question.
That is a good question.
Yeah, somebody texted me while and it came up on my thing. You told me that Essentia was fine. I was like, oh, hold on. let me get Dr. Michelle to clarify that.
Yeah, so like a Smart Water and Essentia, any of those where they are vapor distilled and then the electrolytes are put back in, that's okay.
Okay. So Paulina, I have a question for you. So, I think I know the answer, but so what are the top favorite things that the athletes want to eat when they're in camp?
So in camp or fight week?
Okay, let's do one
two different
camp,
things,
and then let's do the one fight week, night, whatever.
So in camp we get a lot of requests for pastas, especially seafood pastas, or even lasagnas. We get a lot of requests for, believe it or not, hamburgers. because everybody
Okay.
thinks, oh, I can't have a hamburger. I was like, no, wait, that's amazing. It's great fat. We'll grill it. Please don't ask me to kill it and serve it like super, super well done
Yeah.
because that
No leather
hurts my
shoes.
heart. So we get a lot of requests for burgers and fries. So what we do is we take Japanese yams, we slice them, we toss them with a little bit of olive oil, tons of seasoning, and we bake them. So we give them their burger. If they really want a bun, if they're like, listen, I want that bun, we'll get a sprouted bread like an Ezekiel or something like that
Okay.
to satisfy that, and we load it with lots of veggies, and if they want sauteed onions and mushrooms, we give it to them. Then during fight week, we get a just tell me what to eat. But we try to do things that are really high in fat and omegas and nutritious and high water content. So we'll do like a ceviche, or even tacos, or lately we've been doing jicama shell,
Oh,
very
I
thinly sliced
love
jicama,
those.
right? We
Right?
fill it with the taco
Yes.
fillings, high water
Yes.
content.
Get those from
It's fun.
Sprouts.
Exactly. It gives them what they need. And then post weigh-ins, it's pastas and pancakes. And people are going to say, well, I thought pancakes were bad for you. We do cassava flour pancakes, or, a sprouted flour pancake. And we use things like coconut oil or avocado oil, fully pastured eggs. So they are as healthy as we can get them. We load them up with fruits, pure maple syrup
Yes.
or honey. Um, so everything that we use post weigh-ins is something that the athlete, if we have spent camp with them, has had during camp. We don't
Mm,
introduce something new, because your
right.
body,
That
we
makes
don't know how your body performs with it. Let's
sure.
be honest. If somebody, I'll give you an example. If somebody stays away from meat all through camp and decides they want to be pescatarian, we're not going to introduce a big burger after weigh-ins, because
Right.
they haven't been eating it. So how do we know how they feel? How do we know how their digestion is going to be? Is it going to make them feel bloated or sluggish? So we stick to the things that the athlete has utilized during camp, that they have reported back to us that they feel amazing on, and that is what we stick with.
That sounds great. That sounds wonderful. Yeah, my mouth is watering. Dr. Michelle, I have a question. Are you
Sure.
finding that more coaches, managers are more open now to what y'all are doing than before? Like, are we evolving to where more people are seeking help?
I think so. I mean, I think there's always been a certain percentage of people that want to constantly learn and evolve and change. And there's always been a certain percentage of people that are like, this is the way I was taught. This is the way my dad was taught. My coach was taught. We've done it this way for generations, and it's always worked, and we're not going to change. There's always been the two different camps. But I think now with social media and with discussions and with more people talking about it and more people seeing that you can be at the top of your field, be in the world class, be at the very best of the best, and still eat and drink and stay healthy. It's sparking a lot of conversations with other coaches and other athletes. And honestly, a lot of it starts with the athletes and the athletes' families. Athletes' families are sometimes the first to reach out to us, because they say, we see that the people you work with are still in a good mood during fight week. They're still in a great mood and
Yeah,
giving interviews.
very
They
good
still
food.
look happy and feel good. And we want that person around. We want that person with us for as long as we can have them in our life. And if you're going to keep them happy and healthy, we want you to do it. So a lot of times it's the families that spark the conversation,
Okay.
and then the athlete, and then the coaches. It's not always
Okay.
the other way around.
Right.
But
That makes sense. That
yeah.
makes sense. Nika says, how much weight does she make a fighter like Michaela Mayer pick up when a fight is rescheduled? So that's a
Okay,
great question.
that's a great question,
Yes.
because that was one of the things that obviously a lot of people don't know this, but we were on wait. We were waiting for weigh-ins to begin when we got the call that there was a pushback. So weigh-ins were supposed to be on the scale at 1. We got a call that it was going to be at 3. at which point I completely lost my mind. I was like, you are not going to
Sure.
have these athletes, not just
Holding.
our athletes,
Yeah.
and we had 3 of them on the card, not just our athletes sit for an additional 2 hours without being able to be rehydrated. That's absurd. This is unacceptable. And so we had a manager that really went to bat for us and told them, you know, you guys have until 2:00. I wasn't really happy about that, but it is what it is.
Right.
And went to them and said, you have until 2:00 to make a decision. And one way or the other, we're either going to let these women weigh in or we're going to reschedule. And so right around that time, we got the call that it was being rescheduled to October 15th. Now, understand that specifically with Michaela and Clarissa, because there's a WBC belt on the line, they have weight checks. And, you know, obviously,
Yep.
Dr. Michelle knows this. She's had WBC World Championship fights as well. You have that 30-day, that 14-day, and that 7-day, right? And then in the UK, they have a Wednesday weigh-in. So we had already met all of those goals. And then to turn around and say, kidding, in a week, you now have to start meeting those goals again. Their bodies were not primed for that, right?
Right.
We have a plan. We set a plan and we follow it. We make the checks. So they had to all 3 athletes had to stay at 10 pounds, no more than 10 pounds over.
Really, 10 pounds until.
Because what were they going to do? Balloon up, 15 pounds for us to
Right,
now
right.
have to start losing it again? So
Wow.
the agreed upon between the athletes and our team was 10 pounds. Everybody stayed within that because what we didn't want to do is have this yo-yo and create even more stress on the body. Obviously,
Sure.
there's a lot of stress because, we were there. It wasn't something that somebody could anticipate. It's not like,
Right.
oh, somebody got,
Who knew?
it just,
Yeah.
who knew, right?
Right.
So the athletes were amazing. They were completely understanding. Obviously, they wanted to fight and they were disappointed, but what can you do? And then, so when we got the October 15th date, there was a lot of rescheduling that had to be done, not just for them, but for the Perfecting Athletes team. We have
Sure.
another fight in Brooklyn that I was supposed to be at. Thank goodness that Dr. Michelle was able to reschedule her life to be able to cover it. Because if not, there would have been 3 athletes down a, Perfecting Athletes person. But,
Wow.
thankfully we were able to work it out. Dr. Michelle's covering, what we need to cover at October 15th. Thank God that all of the people that she was working with and her clients were very understanding about her having to cancel her week to be able to accommodate that request.
That's amazing. And people don't realize, I mean, everything that y'all do, and I know that it's your passion, y'all love it, you love the athletes, y'all love everything about it. But y'all are literally like pulled everywhere in every direction, not knowing like situations like this and having met multiple athletes. And it's y'all know I love and admire y'all so much because I see everything and not everything that y'all are doing, and it takes a lot. But I think the communication, the relationship that y'all have, it makes a world of difference. And everybody on the same page. It's about the athlete and taking care of them and making sure that they're at the best potential during the camps, during fight night, everything, and afterwards. I don't believe, and I've seen a lot of people put in the care that y'all do. I mean, I really don't. I really don't. It's just y'all's hearts are just, huge. Huge.
Thank you.
A lot of them
Yes.
are like our kids. I mean,
yes.
Michaela
Sure.
Michaela will tell you that when I talk to her, I'm like, "Hi, child, how are you?" Like
Yes.
that is the way.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
We have an MMA fighter that literally will call me, "Hi, mother, how are you?"
Yes.
And we have a couple of those, and we care for them in such a way that it is like in that moment we're their parents or we're their mom or
Absolutely.
whatever, because we're trying to take care of them, we're being nurturing, we're just literally tell me what it is you need. That's all I need
Yes.
to know. Tell me what it is you need
I've seen it.
so that we can get that for you.
It's amazing. It's
You know,
amazing.
and
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yes.
no, go ahead. I was finished.
I was just going to say, if there's just one thing that each of y'all could say just to leave on people's brain about the importance of taking care of the brain in athletes, and not only athletes, but everybody, but especially the athletes, what is the one thing that you can say to leave on people's minds, you know, about the seriousness of this?
Paulina, take this one first.
I was like, they put you on the spot.
No. If I could say, you only have one. Take care of it now.
That's great.
That's the only thing that I can think of to say. You only have one. You need to take care of it now.
Yes.
And I would say your muscles are 90% water, 90%. If you pull the water out, you get beef jerky. That's not going to function very well. So pay attention to what the body needs, give it the water that it needs, and it will do exactly what you want it to do. It will perform at its optimal. It's, you know, water is not optional. It's what you need for life.
Essential. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, ladies, I appreciate y'all so much. I love y'all. I miss y'all. I can't wait to be reunited again. Y'all are
We'll
some
see
of
you
my
soon.
favorite people on earth.
Love you.
Just because
Love
of y'all.
you.
I love y'all too. Definitely.
Thank you.
Any questions, you let us know.
For sure. Thank you so much for taking your time out of the evening.
Thank you
our
so
pleasure.
much.
Great night.
Love you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.